one of the things that we are all excited about big weekends like Easter,
Yep.
one of the things that I think we fail to do at times is to strategize with knowing what the trends are at your church, and you can get a pretty good guess of how many people are going to show up. For example, how many people came last year at Easter?
Yep.
What are you up in attendance year over year in your first quarter? Well, just take that.
Well, I want to stop you just
Stop
for a
me.
second, because where are you getting these numbers from? You know, in my church, I might have no concept of what my numbers were
Right.
last Easter. Can you talk a little bit about just the importance of even having the numbers?
Yeah, so, maybe there might be some that are critical of counting everything at church. The issue is that if we don't kind of keep track of those trends, we won't really have the information to be in front of them, right?
Yeah, to make good decisions.
Yeah, so let's say, for example, I'm in 10 services last year, 11 services that we had. Let's say I'm really close to being at capacity. If I'm up in the first quarter in attendance year over year 20%, I'm going to create the worst experience for people because I'm not going to add probably 2 services.
Right.
So that's why it's so important that we know what are the trends, how are things growing or not growing, to make sure that we are prepared so that people have an amazing experience when they walk into your doors. And so I know that's super basic, but it's super important.
Well, the basics are often the most
Right.
important. So a little aside, if you do want to learn more about how we track data here at the church, we actually have a tool that we built and we give away for free through Open Network. It's called Church Metrics. So if you poke around on our site a little bit or go to churchmetrics.com, you can find more information about that. And there's training here on the training page where you can learn about how we count, why we count, some of the biblical principles that
Right.
go into that. So learn about Church Metrics and start implementing it if you're
Hashtag
not.
free.
Yeah.
It's free.
Yes, it's free
You
and
have no
it's a great
excuse.
tool. And there's an app, your volunteers or your staff can help you put in numbers. And I think the core of it, like Pastor Chris said, that's really important. It is not about knowing how big we are or even did we fail a certain week. It's just about having the numbers so you can make a decision that will help you next time.
Yeah, I remember when I first started at Life.Church, Craig made this comment because we had a really good weekend one weekend, and he said, if you are tempted to take the credit for a good weekend, then you are guaranteed to take the credit for a bad one, and you just can't. At the end of the day, we're going to be faithful to reach out to our community, to invite people, to create a great experience. Ultimately, the growth belongs to the Lord. We're just going to be faithful in planting and watering and just all those metaphors that Paul talked about, but the growth belongs to the Lord. So you've got to know roughly what you're expecting so that you can be prepared so that they would have a great experience. That's the first thing I would say.
Right. So, and I love that too, because the kinds of decisions you might be making based on data are, do we have additional services? How many volunteers do we need? Do we need to open another kids' room? Should we have overflow parking? Should we, if we're going to take communion, how many communion cups do we order? So all of that is going to help you point people to Jesus better without creating gridlock or distraction.